we'll have the news of the day from Bill Belichick's intro press conference. HCUNC. And the aftershocks and fallout, which includes this quote from a confidant. This is a big FU to the NFL. And tonight's huge, potentially large playout game. Rams at Niners, Thursday Night Football. Let's go around the horn.
They'll be pros in all areas, and that's what we want to develop. I do think there are a lot of parallels. There's certainly some differences, but there are some parallels.
Bill, what do you say to people that fear that if you do succeed here, that you might leave for the NFL again in a year or two?
I didn't come here to leave.
Bill Belichick, HCUNC, an intro press conference that hit on all the notes. The hoodie, the cutoff suit on the AD, the remembrance of Steve Belichick, assistant coach, North Carolina, 1953. Belichick even bringing the sweatshirt his dad wore years ago to the conference. The remembrance that young Billy's first words were, "Beat Duke." Belichick saying he always wanted to coach college, and that there are parallels to the NFL, but differences. We also have more details. It's a 5-year deal. UNC yearly NIL budget reported to go up to $20 million. That's up from a reported $4 million. And there's a GM hire already. It's Mike Lombardi, 3 decades of experience in the NFL. Frank Isoli, you're with us on a panel. Earlier this week, you said there was a path to a hiring here. No one else did. Yeah. David Dennis Jr. is going to lose 501 points. You're not going to get 501 points, but you are wearing that Tar Heel blue jacket as well. Do you believe there's a path to success here after hearing Belichick at his press conference today?
Oh, I absolutely believe that. And Carolina won the press conference, and that happens a lot when you hire a high-profile celebrity coach. The difference here is that high-profile celebrity coach is also going to win a lot of football games. He has not lost his fastball by any stretch of the imagination. What Deion did, putting Colorado kind of back on the map, Bill Belichick is going to do the same thing. And at that press conference, everyone kept asking him about the adjustment from the NFL to college. He's not heading the physics department. He's coaching football. The guy knows the game as well as anybody. He's a teacher. He'll develop talent. That is a home run for Carolina with that hire.
It may not be the physics department. It may be closer to the economics department right now. And that was a lot of the questions that a panel had going into this. Kevin Blackistone, hearing Belichick today. Did he make you a believer he can find success in North Carolina?
Oh, absolutely. Let's not forget, it's not like Mac Brown, who's stepping down just about his same age, is leaving the cupboard bare down there. I mean, Mac Brown already built that program back up. They had an off year this year going 6-6, but that's what he's inheriting there. So that's a winning football program over the last few years. And look, we know that Belichick is one of the best, if not the best, NFL coach ever. He has proven himself there. So now he's stepping over to the college ranks, which is more professionalized now than ever before. It will be an environment in which he will make it an NFL-like environment if it wasn't already, bringing down his guys as well. So he is absolutely going to be successful. It just depends on what the rest of us judge as being successful, what we're going to make that bar for him to have to meet.
I think everyone would then connect the dot if he won in the NFL. I mean, let's be honest. It's a 12-team playoff. The ACC has a part in that playoff every year. I think the expectation is we're going to see North Carolina compete for a championship. Woody Page, I'm sensing a change of tune here. It seemed like, other than Frank, everyone was unanimous this was a disaster a week ago when you first heard it, a disaster 3 days ago when you heard there was a second meeting. How did you hear Belichick today?
Oh, I think this is going to be immediate, profound. It's going to be incredible for North Carolina and for college football. Well, think back to when Nick Saban failed at Miami. He had the same kind of results that Belichick did at the end in New England, but he didn't have a portal to deal with. He did not have pay for play to deal with. He had to recruit. Which Bill Belichick doesn't have to do with. You mentioned $20 million that he has to work with in the portal. He doesn't have to go into anybody's homes. It's like Deion Sanders told recruits, You know where I live. You can come here and see me. I'm not coming to your house.
Okay.
I just think that this is going to be such a success for North Carolina. And you've got, unlike Saban had to deal with, you've got 12 teams competing for the championship now. I think it's a perfect timing for him. He always wanted to coach in college. I met him when he was a first-time coach in the NFL with Denver in 1978. I think he's going to get the players who associate him with winning Super Bowls. They associate him with Tom Brady. They know what he can do with NFL players. I think he's going to have the same kind of results with
I
North
didn't know
Carolina.
recruiting wasn't part of the head coaching job anymore. I thought it was still something that Belichick would have to do. Bob Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong there. But also, did he make you a believer today?
Well, first of all, if he wants a souvenir from the Choo Choo Justice era, I've got one for him. And he only lives 2 miles from me. He can come pick it up anytime he wants. Now, first of all, let's go back to the question about success. Success is so obvious. 1, beat Duke. 2, win the conference. 3, get into the playoff. And 4, win a national championship. I think they'd be very happy to win the conference within 2 years, and then we'll go from there. I think that he is entering a landscape. You know, but he told them what they wanted to hear about this. I've always dreamed about coaching in college. Yes, he's got a tremendous background. That's where he grew up with his father, et cetera, et cetera. But they wanted to hear that. Fine. Who knows how true that really is? I'm not buying that. Okay. But anyway, he'll say what he hopes to say. He's a consummate actor, and people will learn that. The recruiting, by the way, Tony, the recruiting thing, yeah, it's less important because of the portal, because of the money that you're going to buy players, and that's what you do now. And recruiting, I couldn't see him sitting in with a home visit. They still have home visits? I guess they do. But anyway, it's an interesting thing. And here's the other thing. What this says about Carolina themselves, what they want, what is their, why are they doing this? Is it envy of Duke for winning basketball championships? Is it, who knows? But there's something going on here.
I mean, I think we heard it today at the press conference. They want to be the best public university in America. That was said, and that's been said before. But the fact is, from the football perspective, they may have been a sleeping giant compared to their basketball team and their women's soccer team and some of the other programs there, getting them up to speed, Frank Isola. What else do you need to see from Belichick?
Well, a couple of things. The biggest position now in college sports is the general manager, both for basketball and for football. And you talked about Michael Lombardi, who's a very smart football guy. So that's an important role. That's why getting the players in the transfer portal and being good at scouting and knowing how to distribute the money the right way, they could in year one. Let's face it, SMU is a good football program. They're in the college football playoff. Look at the schedule for North Carolina next year. You don't think they could win 10 games? They could be.
Oh, here we go. Looking at the schedule. Yeah, I like what I'm hearing here. Kevin Blackiston?
Well, see there, Frank just set the bar, 10 games. So if they come under, then Frank's going to come back next year and say, see, this was a failure. I told you all along. Look, this is a program that's won double-digit games once in this century. So that's going to be a really high watermark for them. I see them winning 8 games, maybe 9, but I definitely see them being in the conversation for the championship and certainly getting into the playoffs.
Interesting change of tune from panels. You guys weren't all on every panel for the last 2 weeks we've been talking about this. But I heard this is a disaster. I heard a 72-year-old having to go out and find players in the transfer portal, which is already a mystery. I heard some of the greatest coaches of all time, like Nick Saban, have stepped away from this game because it doesn't resemble the game that they once coached. And maybe that's an advantage for Belichick because he didn't coach the previous game. But how it became such an uncertain landscape, it was impossible. But now everybody across the board, unanimous, they're going to compete for a championship immediately. All right. I want to follow up here on the NFL side. Seth Wickersham's reporting today with some windows into that Belichick had shifted in the last year on his view of the league and the openings or potential openings, that they weren't as attractive to Bill, or maybe, likely, vice versa, Bill wasn't as attractive to NFL teams. The pull quote, though, from today's conference was, I didn't come here to leave. That's one thing. And the other seemed to be echoed by the confidant, that big, this is a big F you to the NFL, which is so juicy we had to blow it out of size on our tees. Bob, how do you hear it all? And is this the end of Belichick in the NFL forever?
Oh, he's come to the frustrating conclusion that he will not catch Don Shula. We thought the one thing that would keep him alive and hoping for an NFL job was another chance to catch Don Shula. He won't do it. He's come to, and that's it. And so he's not going back to the NFL. He knows that. They don't want him. He's learned that the hard way, and now he's going to shift. And one more thing about it, even at age 72, it doesn't prevent him from having a challenge thing going. I got a new challenge. I conquered the NFL. I'm going to show the world I can conquer college football too. A guy like that thinks like
Frank
that.
Isola?
And I think he's right about the Don Shula record. For me, he's always going to be a great coach. But if I'm a fan of, say, the New York Jets, we never win anything. How about Atlanta when they came out and said, well, he was like the third best candidate? This is all about a lot of these GMs and owners. They don't want someone like that coming in and running the show. It's about these guys losing power more than it is about wanting to win a football game. So good for Bill Belichick to say, the heck with you guys. I'll go to college and I'll breathe the Grand Poobah on a college football team.
Have that be the last word for this. Coming up, buy or sell Thursday night. Rams at Niners. Rams looked as good as they have since the Super Bowl that they won. Won a big one. I called it a play-out game. I'll see if you agree. Rams at Niners. LA looked as good, and let me again say, offensively as they have since their Super Bowl and beating Buffalo last week. Defense let up 40+, but offensively they were a juggernaut. San Francisco was clicking too and beating Chicago. Both have been inconsistent and unable to stack wins or stay healthy this season. Deebo Samuel wants the ball more. Woody Page, and he must win for each side. How will the night be won?
I think it'll be won by the 49ers. They've already given up in San Francisco and Santa Clara on Kyle Shanahan. They want to get rid of him. He was just in the Super Bowl. I think that they're emerging after the way they had 7 sacks last week against the Bears. Kittle had a big production. I think we'll see Samuel come back. I mean, he's been complaining. So now throwing the football, get him involved. I think Purdy's more healthy, and I think Shanahan, I have faith in him. I think they win. They stay at least around.
Kevin Blackstone.
No, I got to go with the Rams. I have too many doubts about the 49ers. You don't know what team's going to show up. They've been blown out sometimes this year. They looked good last week. But Nakua right now is the hottest offensive player in the NFL. And I just don't see anybody on the 49ers side being able to bring
Frank Isola.
Last chance saloon for the 49ers. I think they're going to win. I love how they scored 38 points in the game. Then you have Deebo Samuel complaining that he's not getting the ball enough. But they have to find a way to shut down Puka Nacua, who has 33 catches for over 450 yards in his last 4 games. The guy's nearly unstoppable. They slow him down, the Niners could.
Bob Ryan.
This is a rivalry that goes way back, the days of Y.A. Tittle and Norm Van Brocklin. There's special games out there. By the way, 49ers, I've got to amplify, Kevin. 4 100-yard games in the last 6 and a 98 in the 5th one for Nakua, who's become the best show on earth in that league right now. And so I think they're going to win. I think they're
all right. Well, that was Blackstone's argument. I'll give him the points. Who you got? Tittle or Van Brocklin, Bob Ryan? That's the question for you. You're a Tittle guy. That great photo of Tittle, black and white. I know he wasn't. That was when he was with the Giants, but he's bald and he's bleeding. That's
blood.
Van Brocklin, the all-time yardage record in the NFL. We'll move on. 5 seconds to go. NBA Cup semis on the line. Spiro Ditas on the call.
Launch, he missed it. Fight for the rebound. Payton poked away. 5 seconds. And Billy Kennedy says foul.
Steve Kerr after the game.
Zone.
I'm pissed off. I wanted to go to Las Vegas. We wanted to win this cup. And, we aren't going because of a loose ball foul 80 feet from the basket with the game on the line. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and that was ridiculous.
Loose ball, foul call, free throws that flipped the game. Rockets 91, Golden State 90, Houston to the Cup semis. KB, is that a call you're making?
That's not a call that I'm making, but that's also not an explanation that I'm giving if I'm Steve Kerr, because I know when he got into the locker room and closed the door, he was wondering how come they didn't score another point in the last 3 minutes or 3 seconds of the game. That's what cost you. You had the lead, and you couldn't put the ball in the basket.
Frank Isola?
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen just given Houston the timeout call. But Kevin's right, though. Steph Curry, how about the game management late? Why are you shooting with 8 seconds left on the shot clock and your team is up 1? So the Warriors ultimately have nobody to blame but themselves.
Bob Ryan?
A referee has to know why he's out there. Why he's out there is to adjudicate the smooth flow of the game and get out of the way when it's necessary. And you referee situationally. And this was a stupid call.
Okay.
And I agree with Steve.
So
Kerr.
you think Kerr and Golden State have beef with that call, Woody Page? Buy or sell that call?
Sure, the court was turned into a mosh pit at the end. You don't make a call there. You just have a jump ball and let the game finish.
Okay.
I've been around enough referees to know that they don't want to determine the outcome of a game in a situation like that, and they allowed it to happen
Well, I
last
mean,
night.
Golden State did have 3 seconds, which is enough time to get a shot up. Curry couldn't get the shot up, had to pass it up, and their last 3 minutes, as Blackstone said, was their problem. Buy or sell 3, Hawks 108, Knicks 100. 1, 2, 3, and 4 alley-oops for Atlanta in the fourth quarter to flip this game. Got whatever they wanted in the second half. Trae Young and the Hawks going to Vegas, so he's rolling dice mid-quarter at MSG. Brunson, quote, "We should win the game if we don't want him to do that." Frank, what are you buying? What are you selling from the Hawks win and their torrid stretch to get to the Cup semis?
Yeah, I'm buying Atlanta, which along the way have beaten Boston, Cleveland, now the Knicks to get to the semifinals. Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, DeAndre Hunter, long athletic wings. Trae Young has been terrific. That's a fun team. But if I'm on the Knicks, he's standing there midcourt on my logo playing dice. I was waiting for somebody to maybe walk up and knock him over. It's a different NBA.
Charles Oakley not walking through that door, Frank Isola. Bob Ryan, how about you?
Well, the Hawks are a growth stock right now. I think they're a team that's fun to watch and keep your eye on them. And what Dyson Daniels is doing, the defensive end is incredible. Now, as far as what Young did, who's a great player, leading the league in assists, he has a right to have some fun in a building where a certain Hollywood director has been sitting in the front row making a fool out of himself for 30 years. So if he can do that, then Trae Young has a right to do it.
So you think Trae was doing the right thing, so to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Woody Page, around the horn to you.
I like what's going on with this cup, that you got Atlanta and Houston, 2 teams that nobody's paying attention to for years, suddenly in the finals, in the semifinals here. And I think that Atlanta has shown that they're a better team than a lot of people give credit for. Houston Rockets, on the other hand, second place in the Western Conference. Nobody would have planned that. I like what we're seeing out of the cup.
And Kevin Blackstone.
Yeah, I like what we're seeing too, and I just had to take note of that dice roll by Trae Young, because just think, a few years ago he probably been fined by the NBA for doing something like that, but they're so deep in bed with Las Vegas and gamblers and draft
Okay, all right, I hear what you're saying. You got a hot take here. Yeah, now
It's
that was
fine.
a sponsored
I'm cool.
segment.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. Okay. Woody Page, Bob Ryan, thank you for the time today. Isola, I said you were wearing that UNC jacket. Blackstone in the corduroy. You won't get this, but the waiting has drove you mad. You haven't been in show. Isola, let's see who's going to blow on some other guy's dice. Not nice. Showdown 1, NFL rule changes. Could they be coming? League says it's looking into 2 tweaks. 1, considering replay assist for face mask penalties. We've seen games decided on that this year. And B, considering a change to onside kick rule. Kevin, what's the more urgent change needed?
Well, I know the first one you talked about maybe because of injuries, but the one that gets me is the onside kick rule. What's so much fun? What's exciting? What's surprising about it when you go, hey guys, we're going to try an onside kick here. All right, everybody ready? No, get rid of that. That was ridiculous.
But come on, Kevin. Sam Darnold looks like he's in The Exorcist with the way his head is almost turned all the way around. They have to do something there with replaying that. I don't love replay, but something like that for player safety, that's more important. Then you could work on the kick.
I'm with Kevin, onside kick. Not even just announcing it, but just making it slightly more possible. However you want to do that. Get us above 3, 5, 7%. Get us closer to 10 to 15%. So the end of games could still mean something. Point for Stone. Showdown 2. Not a good feeling. Who said it? Patrick Mahomes. They've had a lot of good feelings lately, but they play 3 games in 11 days. Sunday, Saturday, and then a Wednesday for Christmas Day. We've seen 3 games in 11 days before in NFL history, but it is not common. Kansas City's going to have to do it. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston. Chicago's going to have to do it as well. Frank, KC and those teams in scheduling trouble?
Come on, Patrick. We've watched the games this season. You guys get every break in the book. Talk to your union. Talk to Roger Goodell. They're playing on Christmas on a Wednesday. You're the number one team. That's why you're playing. It's a money thing.
KB?
NFL football, 3 games in 11 days, that's insane. And if I'm the NFLPA, I make sure that this never, ever happens again. I don't care if it's the Chiefs. I don't care if it's the Bengals. I don't care who it is. Those bodies cannot recover in that span of time.
KC may be all right record-wise. They've already clinched the playoff. Baltimore is still wanting to move up in their division, having to do that. That is a disadvantage. Horrible. Kevin Blackistone breaks the schneid and gets the clean.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm saying this not as a sports writer. I'm saying this as a fan. I'm saying this as a partial ticket, season ticket holder for my Washington Nationals. We want to be able to trade picks. It's too confusing in Major League Baseball what picks you can trade and what picks you can't because of all the types of drafts that go on. Just make it like every other league. If you have the number one pick and you want to turn that into a couple of veteran players, you ought to be able to deal that. And right now, Mike Rizzo can't do that. A shame on MLB.
Plus how the Niners keep their playoff hopes alive in an NFC West battle with the Rams and meet the Mets. New slugger Juan Soto officially introduced. Speaking of which, we start in college football with a doozy. It's official. It's time for Chapel Bills, Tar Bills, old school, whatever, we'll workshop it. North Carolina's Board of Trustees approving the hire of Bill Belichick as its next football coach. After 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, he's coaching in college for the very first time, and he's excited about it.
This is really kind of a dream come true. I grew up in college football with my dad. As the coach at Navy for 50 years, so as a kid, all I knew was college football, and so it's great to come back home to Carolina and back in an environment that I really grew up in. When you're little, you don't remember everything. Obviously, I was too young to remember a lot of things from Carolina, but as I grew up, you hear the same story over and over and over and over again, and so one story I always heard was Billy's first words were, "Beat Duke."
Bill, what do you say to people that fear that if you do succeed here, that you might leave for the NFL again in a year or two?
I didn't come here to leave.
Guess that's as good as you're going to get for a mic drop. Let's bring in our reporter, Marty Smith, and national champion Greg McElroy. We'll start with you, Marty, because you were there for Bill Belichick's presser. Describe the scene and vibe in the room.
Optimism, Elle, great expectation, and great reverence. You heard Belichick there referencing his father's coaching career. His father coached here at Carolina in the mid-'50s, and Coach Belichick showed up this afternoon with a white sweatshirt that had a number 38 and UNC on it. It was one that his father had when he was coaching here. And the pride and the joy and the reverence that he had, both for the campus and for the program, was evident. It was all over him. One of the things about this life, too, is that sometimes when we step away from things, as Belichick stepped away from the game this past year, we learn. I had the opportunity to catch up with him in his brand new office just a bit ago to ask him what his year away taught him.
Yes, it was an interesting perspective. When you spend your whole life concentrating on one team, and then you don't have to do that, you get a chance to sit back and look at all the teams in the NFL, college teams, go to some high school games, just take a different perspective on the game. It was great, and honestly, I just realized how much I love the game.
If you want to know the true impact of Bill Belichick's entrenchment here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, this is really all you need to see. This is the sleeve that Athletic Director Bubba Cunningham cut off of his suit jacket today before he walked into the press conference to pay homage to the hoodie and let everyone know that it's a brand new day at Carolina and a brand new day in college football, Elle. This is tattered, but I appreciate Bubba's conviction for his new football coach.
I love it. We've got the turnover chain and the turnover plank, and now we just have a random suit sleeve that's permeated college football. Well done there. I want to bring you in, Greg, because I think part of the reason people did not think this was going to happen is Bill having to deal with the transfer portal, NIL, just essentially the ever-changing landscape that is college football. What's your take on how he's going to succeed at the college level?
Well, ball is ball. I mean, X's and O's are X's and O's, and they work on every level. Here's the thing.
In the NFL, there's a lot of teaching that is allowed because there is no 20-hour rule. You can basically spend all day and overnight, if you'd like to, be with your players. So that's going to be different how quickly he teaches the players, how much he can expect the players to actually understand, grasp, and be able to apply what they learned in the classroom to the field. That's going to be a change as well. And I think a lot of guys that go from the NFL to college take for granted what the college athletes know. That's ball. But as far as running a program, I actually am pretty optimistic about his ability to manage the salary cap, understand that there are costs and ways of doing things and creating a culture in which, hey, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, there's the door. I think all of that could be beneficial, but I think one thing that will take a little while for him to get used to is the fact that the guys on his roster are not under a perpetual contract. There can be guys on a week-to-week basis that might be trying to actively renegotiate their NIL deal, and that will probably be a little bit frustrating for Bill Belichick, coming from where he came from, where the contracts and the language in the contracts are a little bit more easily understood.
That's actually a really interesting point, because I felt the same way you did. Like, from a business perspective, he was a GM, so this is very much